Hello and welcome to what I call part two of our village stories. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing your stories. Some of the stories that I told were stories that people will send me a WhatsApp and say, hey, have you looked at this and there's different angles? Like I said, this is about creating a conversation. I think we've managed to create that conversation. Now we need to take it to the next level, which is the journey comes to Joburg moment. If you grew up in a village, you know this. You know how intimidating urban life is. You know how intimidating getting into the taxi or the bus or the train or the plane for the first time to go look for gold. In South Africa, we call coming to Joburg going to look for gold. We all out here to come look for gold, and we're making Johannesburg home. Some of you take the gold and go back to the homelands and develop them. Lovely. It's interesting to see how our rural areas are developing. In our second part then of our village stories, the journey comes to Joburg moment, I thought, let me just talk to how one becomes a leader and how do you take up a new leadership challenge. It could be just a new job. It does not have to be a management job. It could be any leadership job. Could be starting a new career. It could be your very first job. A couple of things that work to my advantage. And by the way, I'm quite an avid reader. So one of the books that I read was by Michael D. Watkins. He's the author of a book called The First 90 Days. So as I was going through the book and trying to relate back to my own lessons, I found quite good synergy around some of the principles that I've applied and some of the things that Michael obviously calls out in his book. So let's just talk about it. When you start a new job, a new challenge, or a new leadership role, people have high expectation. You also are making yourself vulnerable. Let's face it. It's a new challenge. You probably haven't done that before. So you do feel a bit vulnerable. The most important thing then is, how do you quickly identify value? How do you create value? But not only value for you, value for the organization as well. Let's face it, whether we like it or not, people are, or our colleagues, our staff, our employees, if you do manage people, will quickly want to check out what sort of value, what makes you the best person for the job. Why are you the new office clerk that has been hired out of the 20 or 50 or even 100 that have applied for a job? So identify that value. Find out what your mandate is. It's important to stay focused. What is your mandate? Can you link that to organizational value? Who are your stakeholders? Have a shareholder expectation or stakeholder expectation meeting with them to say, what are the expectations in my first week, in my first month, in my first 30 days? And what are your expectations? Important for you to also share. I mean, that's what I do as well when I take up a new challenge, is to share what my expectation is. And I think that creates the right partnership that you want in the very beginning. Identify the quick wins. What are the quick little things that you can do that will have a huge impact into the organization? And that's what I call identifying quick wins. Michael D. Watkins spends a lot of time helping you, by the way, if you're interested, in terms of how do you create those quick wins. Invest in your personal development. Learn about the organization. Adapt to the culture. Culture is their DNA. It's what makes the organization tick. Find out what that culture is. Spend some time understanding their culture elements and what makes them tick. If you're culturally unfit, you're more likely going to have a bad time in that organization. You might end up leaving in the very few days or so. But invest in your personal development as a last point, as mentioned earlier, means spend some time understanding how you can add value by either reading more, researching more. When you drive in Joburg traffic, equally, there's sometimes you drive an hour in traffic, use that time to listen to an audiobook, or just after work, or just when you get to the office, get there slightly earlier and spend some time investing in your own personal development for you to become a well-rounded player or well-rounded leader. I hope you enjoy it. We're taking it a notch up now. Thank you for the village stories, but now we need to grow our country. We need to grow the next level of leadership. We're going to be talking the real stuff now around how we build our leadership capability that is so desired, I guess you will agree with me, in our country and around the world. Thank you for being with us. See you again. See you soon as we talk the next leadership level. I hope you enjoy it. Have fun.